movie. Isn't this amazing? You guys must be the real hardcore Bong Joon-ho fans. I can tell. This is Bong Hyde right here. I'm Josh Ruffcup. I'm with Time Out New York, and we have two very special guests with us from the film. Let's welcome them to the stage for a conversation. The writer and director of the film, Bong Joon-ho. And the co-star of the film, Kang-ho, is here as well. And we're assisted by two translators. Congratulations on this film.
Thank you.
I think whenever we strap in for a film that you make, we have certain excitement and certain expectation that it's not going to be anything typical. Do you feel the pressure of constantly having to surprise your audiences?
뭐 그렇게 뭐 억지로 그렇게 하려고 제가 발버둥치는 편은 아니에요. 왜냐하면 제가 사람 성격 자체 이상해서 저 자신에게 충실하게 쓰다 보면 이렇게 돼버려요.
Well, it's not something that I intentionally strive to achieve. It's just that I have a very weird personality. So if I'm faithful to myself while creating the works, it just naturally happens that way.
Well, this is a very weird movie. Why don't you tell us where the idea came from? Because I think this is a fascinating story. Where did you get the inspiration for Parasite?
세 가지 이론이 있어요.
So I have three theories.
이거 처음 구상하고 사람들한테 얘기하고 다닐 때가 설국열차 포스트 프로덕션 할 때였어요. 설국열차도 부자와 가난한 자 얘기 나오잖아요. 근데 그거를 좀 더 이렇게 뭐 사이파이 액션이 아니라 주변 현실 속에서 좀 되게 리얼하게 그려보고 싶은 마음이 되게 강했다라는 이론이 있고.
So my first theory is that I came up with this idea in 2013, which was when I was working on the post-production of Snowpiercer, which is also a story about the rich and poor. But I think I wanted to tell the same story, instead of being in a sci-fi action format, I wanted to include more realistic characters that I can see around me.
그리고 그때 제가 연극을 연출해 보라는 권유를 많이 받았어요. 친한 배우들한테. 그래서 연극을 뭐랄까 공간이 딱 제한된 거. 그래서 부잣집, 가난한 집 두 군데서 다 벌어지는 일을 해볼까 하다가 이게 나왔다는 그런 이론.
And my second theory is that I have a lot of theater actor friends, and they always suggest that I direct a theater production. So I was thinking of a story that could take place in a limited space. So I thought of this one, which takes place in one rich house, one poor house, and just those two houses.
그리고 이제 대학교 때 과외를 했어요 제가. 그래서 되게 큰 부잣집 과외를 한 적이 있어요. 실제 영화에 나오는 것과 비슷한. 그때 이렇게 다른 가족의 남의 사생활을 엿보는 느낌을 좀 그러려고 한 건 아닌데 저절로 그런 상황이 돼서 그때 되게 묘한 느낌을 받았거든요. 그리고 제 친구들을 계속 그 집으로 끌어들이고 싶은 마음, 계속 일거리를 소개해주면서 뭐 그런 기억이 또 출발점이 된 것 같아요.
And another inspiration was when I was in college, I also worked as a tutor. I tutored in a very rich house similar to the one you see in this film, and I got this eerie sense that I was spying on the private lives of complete strangers. It's not something that I intended, but it just naturally felt that way. And I also imagined what it would be like to bring in all of my friends to introduce jobs from this family to them and bring them in one by one.
Those are all three amazing ideas. Those are great inspirations. Do you, it's interesting too to me because I think about Okja and Snowpiercer as larger budgeted movies than this one, and this is sort of a reduction of scope, like you say, a reduction of budget, and it's also you're back in Korean. It's not in English or partially in English. So, do you see this story as an especially Korean one, or is it a universal idea?
부자 가난한 자 얘기니까 유니버설 하다고 뭐 물론 생각할 수 있겠지만 뭐 제 입장에서는 그냥 아주 한국적인 디테일과 뉘앙스들로 가득한 영화를 마음껏 한번 해보자라는 생각이 제일 뭐 앞섰었고요.
So you could say that this story, since it's about the rich and poor, it's a very universal story. But for me, my approach was just to do everything I want and fill this film with very Korean details and nuances.
그리고 이제 돋보기로 이렇게 햇빛을 어릴 때 하는 장난 있잖아요. 돋보기로 이렇게 햇빛을 모아서 하면은 종이가 타잖아요. 되게 빛이 집중되면서 그런 느낌의 영화를 하고 싶었던 거죠. 네.
And also, I wanted to create a film as if I was holding up a magnifying glass against the sun to gather the sunlight and burn a tiny, very focused hole onto paper.
그 종이 타는 냄새 되게 좋잖아요.
We all love the smell of burning paper.
So you do. Song, you've made films with director Bong now for 20 years. And that's an incredible achievement, and we've watched you change over those several films and films with other directors as well. This character actually feels very meek. I think there's even a point stressed about how his wife is an athlete, and I get the sense that he's supposed to be almost like a lapsed person in a way and kind of a pushover. I wonder what are the difficulties that you went into with playing a part like that?
저는 굉장히 좋았어요. 왜냐하면은 그 전에 이제 작품들이 봉 감독님 작품 말고 그 10년간 제 작품들 보면은 혼자서 어떤 드라마를 다 책임을 지고 안고 가야 되는 그런 영화들을 어떻게 하다 보니까 그런 영화들을 쭉 하게 됐던 거죠.
Yeah, I actually like that part very much. In my previous films, not just Director Bong, but other films, I always felt like I was the protagonist who really had to lead the story on, and this time some of that pressure was off of me.
네, 그러다 보니까 좋은 점도 있지만 사실은 이제 그 긴 시간 동안 어떤 빈 구석이 있다면은 좀 제 연기로 이렇게 커버를 해 나가면서 가야 되는 어떤 어려움이 있었어요.
There's certainly positive aspects to being a very dominant leading role, but there was also pressure in those times to sort of fill in any gaps that might exist in the film.
그러다 보니까 힘도 들지만 자꾸 이제 그걸 메꾸려고 하니까 의도치 않게 제가 봐도 좀 나쁜 연기가 이제 계속 나오는 경험을 하게 됐죠.
And because that was rather tiring, looking back, I feel like at those times I was sort of engaged in bad acting because of the pressure.
그건 저뿐만이 아니라 어떤 배우든 다 그럴 거야 아마.
But to be honest, I don't think that's just me. I think any actor would feel that kind of
안
pressure.
그렇습니까, 그죠?
Don't you agree?
근데 이제 이번에 봉준호 감독님께서 이 기생충이라는 작품은 그런 짐을 다 내려놓고 너무 좀 뭐랄까 편안하다라는 표현은 좀 어폐가 있지만 많은 배우들과 아주 앙상블을 이루면서 좋은 연기를 할 수 있도록 그래서 참 기분 좋게 작업을 해왔던 것 같아요.
By contrast, in Parasite, I don't want to say comfortable. Comfortable is not the best word, but I definitely felt less of that pressure. I felt like I was really in harmony in an ensemble with the other actors.
그리고 제 캐릭터 약하다라는 생각은 저는 개인적으로 하지는 않는데 약하게 보셨나 봐요.
It sounds like you thought my character was weak. I never thought of it that way.
Well, I think it's a fascinating character for you to play. I think, let me be more specific. It's because, especially when he talks about how the best plan is having no plan, because you are such a decisive presence in so many of Director Bong's films and other films as well. So I feel like this is a modulation in terms of your career.
Thank you.
Please. You know, there's a beautiful presence in the film that isn't an actor but has a really prominent part in the film, and it's the house. We've talked about the house before. Tell me about the way your mind works when you're writing a story. Are you imagining the space that it happens in? Is that as important as the psychology between the characters? And how did that process lead to this?
시나리오 쓸 때부터 일단 공간에 대한 설계나 뭐 이렇게 디자인이 없으면 저 영화를 진행을 못 시켜요. 이 영화는 특히 공간에 의존해서 스토리텔링이 되는 거잖아요.
When I'm writing the script, if I don't set, a basic structure of the space or the design, I can't really progress with the story.